Hi, this is Anne with Graphic Design How To, and today I'm going to give you 3 ways to extend your background in Adobe Photoshop. And really the best way of doing this is with the brand new Generative Fill, but that way isn't available for commercial use right now, and it also kind of gives a low resolution version. So I'm going to show you that way last, and if you want to just jump to that, you can go to this timestamp right here. All right, let's get started. The first way I'm going to show you is Content Aware Scale. And with this tool, you can just stretch a photo. And the idea is that Photoshop will be able to tell what it can stretch and what it can't. So it'll try to figure out what the subject is. Hopefully when we do this, she won't be stretched, but the background will. I'll hit C on my keyboard to get to my crop tool right over here. And I'm just going to go ahead and hit clear right up here. And we'll want to be on width, height, and resolution right here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit with Command minus or Control minus, and I'm going to extend the picture to make it a little wider. Then I'll hit Return or Enter to accept the changes. I'll go to Edit, Content Aware Scale, and once I'm in this screen, I need to make sure this little link up here is unchecked. This is the Maintain Aspect Ratio button. It'll actually scale and make everything bigger in the background, and I really only want to stretch it this way. So make sure that's unchecked. I'll get on the handle and just pull this over. Now you can see what it did. It kept this part of the image not so stretched, but it's still a little stretched if you can see her arm. And then this part of the image got really stretched. So I'm going to undo and redo so you can see the difference. So that works pretty good, but I really don't want her to stretch as much as she did. So we can use the channel to protect her a little more. Now Photoshop tries to figure out what the subject is, but we're going to just tell it what the subject is. So I undid back to the point where I have not done any kind of content aware scaling yet. I'm going to come up here and get on my lasso tool, and then I'll just quickly draw around her. This does not have to be perfect, but you want to include everything that you don't want to be stretched very much. It's not perfect, by the way. Now we'll come over here to channels. If you're not seeing the windows over here, you can come up here and find them under Window. And this one would be right here, Window Channels. I'll come down to the bottom of the panel and choose Create a Mask, which is this button right here. And that'll give us this Alpha 1 channel. And you can see whatever you have selected is white in this little alpha channel, and the rest is black. Let's hit Command D or Control D to deselect, and then I'm going to go ahead and make sure that RGB is clicked here on channels. I'll go to Edit, Content Aware Scale. Next to Protect, we're going to want to choose that Alpha 1 that we created down here in channels. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll just grab a handle and pull it over. And you probably noticed that she's still stretched a little bit, but not nearly as bad as the first photo. So one thing you can do if you still don't like the amount of stretch is to pull this back in until you're happy with the amount, maybe right about here, and then go through that process again of using your lasso tool to select her. And then go to Channels, create a new mask, and then after deselecting, you'll want to go ahead and go to Edit, Content Aware Scale like we did before, and this time we'll choose that Alpha 2 under Protect. And now when we pull it all the way out there, she does not distort at all. Content Aware Scale works really well if you don't have very far to stretch the photo, but you can keep making more alpha channels. Just keep in mind that it is going to be noticeable that you're stretching the design. You can see right here, this looks pretty stretched. I'm going to go ahead and close this photo. And this time I'll open a different Pexels photo. By the way, I got all these images from Pexels.com. The second way is the select and stretch method, and this is kind of the old school way. This is best if you don't have very far to stretch, and you can't really tell it the subject. The process is very similar, so I'll hit C to get to my crop tool. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and then I'll get right on this handle. I'll hold Option or Alt and drag, and that way we can resize from the center. I'll hit Enter to commit the changes. And now I'm going to hit M to get my rectangle marquee tool. Really with this style of stretching, you can only use the rectangle marquee because other ways just don't work very well. And you'll want to select only the stretchable parts. So if you don't want your subject to stretch, you don't want to include it in your selection. Okay, so I've got this part selected. I'll hit Command J or Control J to put that piece on a new layer. And then I'll hit Command T so that I can grab a handle and just stretch it over like this. And then hit Enter or Return to commit the changes. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here. And by the way, if you only have a tiny piece of stretchable image, that is going to be problematic. It'll look really stretched if you have to stretch any more than maybe a ½ inch. Hopefully that's not the case though. I've got my marquee selection, and I'll just draw a box around the stretchable part of the image. Now if you don't want to put this on a new layer, you can just hit Command T or Control T and just stretch it over like that. And it'll actually put it on the same layer. Now I think this looks pretty good. I don't think it's very easy to tell that it's been stretched, and that's the goal. Once you stretch things too far, it starts looking weird. Now you're going to come across images that are just not stretchable. And in that case, your best bet is Generative Fill. And this is available on the new version of Adobe Photoshop Beta. And if you don't have Photoshop Beta, I actually have another video, and that'll be right up in the corner of your screen, that shows how to find that and install it. The icon looks a little different. It's white and blue instead of blue and dark blue. So I'm going to get on the Photoshop Beta, and I'm going to open this image, which really isn't stretchable because of this swing set. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit and show you this generative artificial intelligence fill that will kind of take stock of what's in the photograph and then fill it in with some stuff that it thinks will work. The process is similar, so I'm going to hit C to get to my crop tool, make sure clear is checked, and then I'm just going to pull this over like this. Maybe we'll make it even wider. I'll hit Return or Enter to commit the changes. And then I'll hit M to get on my rectangle marquee. I'm going to draw a box around the white, but I'm also going to include some of the image, just a little bit, so Photoshop knows what to do. And then we'll get this bar that pops up. And if you're not seeing the little bar, that's under Window, Contextual Taskbar right here. Normally when you're using Generative Fill, you would need to add a prompt in here. But if you're just trying to extend the background, you don't need a prompt at all. So I'm going to click Generative Fill, and then instead of entering a prompt, I'll click Generate again. And okay, let me look closely at this. Okay, so this is what it added with artificial intelligence. It just continued our mountain scene. It added some houses back here, houses or something anyway, but it does have some problems. We have a chain right up here that's not connecting to anything, and maybe another chain here. I'm not sure what that is. But the nice thing about Generative Fill is it gives you 3 different options. You can toggle through these with these arrow buttons. Okay, this one is really nice. It looks realistic. It's added trees here instead of mountains. And then that one is also very good. The one I wouldn't choose is this one because it has a lot of things that don't seem quite right in it. So that is something you'll run into. Sometimes it does a good job, sometimes it doesn't, but it is a really nice feature, and it'll be great when it's available for commercial use at high resolution. Alright, if you like this video and you want to see more videos like this, just hit the subscribe button and the little bell next to it, and you'll be notified every time a new video comes out. Alright, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you!